Hello all, and welcome to ReadSpeaker's webinar, Text-to-Speech for Literacy Support and Improved Learning Outcomes. My name is Rebecca Wildenhain, Marketing Director for ReadSpeaker. Before we begin, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items. Our presentation today will take about 30 minutes, and that will include a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Your microphones will remain muted throughout the webinar. However, questions can be submitted through the Q&A feature located at the bottom of your screen. Today's webinar will be recorded, and you will receive a copy of the presentation following the webinar. Now I'd like to introduce you to our host for today's webinar, Ginger Dewey. Ginger helps ReadSpeaker clients get the most use out of their suite of learning tools. With over 35 years as an educator in both K-12 and higher ed, Ginger is an advocate for accessibility and UDL. Over to you, Ginger.
Thank you, Rebecca, and welcome everyone to our ReadSpeaker Text-to-Speech for Literacy Support and Improved Learning Outcomes. Today's agenda is how TextAid can work with PDFs and HTML textbooks, looking at the benefits for students who have typing difficulties and focus challenges, how TextAid can help with that, and how you can improve your studying and note-taking skills using TextAid. Have you ever felt like this? Especially at the beginning of the semester when you're trying to get all your books for your students, you can sometimes feel quite frustrated. So let's begin before we get into AccessText. But what is TextAid? TextAid is a text-to-speech software that allows you to listen to the words on the screen. They highlight as you go along. And if you look at the menu we have, you'll see that you have your normal listen commands. We have a library, which we will be using a lot today. We have some tools that include a screencast and a reading ruler. We have annotations and highlighters. We have translations, image to text, and then we have our settings. So remember, this is an LTI, so it is easy to incorporate and use. When you put in an email, put in a request in AccessText, the first thing that happens is after you've submitted all your information, you're going to get back an email that looks something like this. And I made up a publishing company here. FGH Publishing Company has fulfilled the request on 2/12/2019. The download will expire in 14 days. Please download ASAP and mark the request as received. And then it gives the title of the article or textbook, the author. It'll give you a 13-digit ISBN, a 6-digit student ID, and then a link to your request. And it tells you don't reply to the email, and all messages should be sent through the AccessText application. Now the next slides are going to go through the process, and then we will do the process, okay? The coordinator. So you're going to respond to that email by downloading your textbook. Then you will open it in TextAid, or in other words, upload it in TextAid and put it in the library. And then you're going to share the textbook with the appropriate students. The students will log into TextAid, go to their library. There's a tab there that says Shared with Me, and then they will click on their textbook. Okay. I have preloaded some characters. We have the Disney crew visiting us today. And the way this works is the administrator of TextAid, which is me, will go in the organization and make one of our students, in this case, we're going to make Donald Duck a coordinator. Now to do that, you'll click on Donald's email. And then you have this button called Make Coordinator. So you'll click on Make Coordinator. And you notice at some point in the future, if you want to remove Donald's privileges as a coordinator, you can. Now we'll go back to the user list, and we'll see over here under the coordinator column that Donald is now a coordinator. So at this point, I'm going to log out as an administrator, and I'm going to log in as Donald. Okay, Donald is logged in. So Donald says, okay, I have this textbook called Boost Corporate Learning Success with Text to Speech. Okay, that's our textbook that we've downloaded. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my library, and I'm going to, in this case, create a folder, and I'm going to call it Textbooks. And that way I'll know whatever I put in this folder is textbooks, so I can keep it separate from other information. So I'll click in the folder, and now I upload the document. To upload the document, you can either select the document or you can drag it in, and always select the language of the document. It takes it a moment, and once it is done, it will say added successfully, and we can click closed. Now, when we go back, the library will immediately open. We have some buttons over here, and on the right, the second button moving from left to right looks like a circle with an arrow coming out of it, or I call it a target button. That is your document sharing button. So Donald is the coordinator, which would be the role of someone in disability services. And we have Mickey and Goofy visiting us today as students. So Donald is going to share this item. And we have to say how we want to share it. We can share to a group or to a user. And we have tabs up here at the top. Well, we're going to share immediately with Goofy Dog. And click Save Settings. Okay, if I go in a different browser, I have this one, and we'll see that this is Goofy Dog's. If you look up here in the top right, Goofy Dog's account. So I go to the library, and I see this tab that says Shared with Me. So when I click on Shared with Me, I now have my document. So I can click on my document, and the document is opening in TextAid. Give it a minute here. And I have this nice document up here that I can now see. And one of the things that I want to bring to your attention is in TextAid, one of our settings is document reading. And when I go to document reading, I can choose automatic page flip that says yes, turn page automatically. And what that does is if I'm listening to it being read, When it gets to the end of page 1, it'll say loading and page 2 will begin. Well, I'm going to go to page 2 and show you how this reads. So I'm just going to highlight a little bit. We'll highlight the first 2 lines of it and click listen.
Over the past several years, there has been a growing desire within businesses to make
and click play again, or I can stop it. Either way. So
learning
you notice that it was green highlights with blue sentences. Excuse me, green sentences with blue highlights. I can adjust those colors through the highlight settings by choosing what color I want for the word, what color I want for the sentence, and what color I want for the text. Those are customizable to each person on their device. We have text settings that give us text color and background color, text size, font, and line spacing. Now, part of this here in a little bit will be taking some highlights from the document and putting them over into a document. For that, we're going to say I am looking at the Open Dyslexic font. You'll see that I have that down here. I can choose whatever font I want. We'll leave it on Arial, but I am going to change the background from white to light pink because I may have a little bit of eye strain. I can also increase the space between lines, and I'll leave it spaced like that. Okay, we're going along and we're reading our document, and we come to a point where we say, you know, this right here is really, really important. So I'm going to click on my highlighter, which is over here on the left, and when I click on it, I get some, I'll put it right down here so everyone can see it. I have some colors I can choose from. And when you are taking notes, you want to set up a color choice that you use consistently through your note-taking in a course. You might want to always use red for this is going to be on the test. I just know it's going to be there. And yellow for they're probably going to put this on the test, so I might want to study it. And then you could assign what you wanted for blue and green, or however you want to make those assignments. I'm going to say this is definitely going to be on the test, so I'm going to click on the red square, and then I'm going to highlight text-to-speech technology represents da-da-da-da-da all the way to the end of that sentence. Now, I go on down and I don't see anything else that I think is going to be there, so I'm going to go to page 3. And I click on the page to change the page. And in this, I see this bulleted list, and I'm thinking, improved employee performance. Whoops. Clear the page. That was not what I wanted to highlight. Let's say that I want to do audio streaming is important, so I'm going to click audio streaming in yellow and everything that's there. But I remember my instructor talked about multilingual material and made a big production of talking about it, so I know that's going to be on the test. So I'm going to highlight all of that in red. So now I've got some different things highlighted, and I would go through the rest of the paper in the same manner. I click on menu. I can collect the highlights, which means get them all on one sheet of paper. I can clear the highlights from one page or from the entire document. I want to collect the highlights. Now, it gives me some choices. One of the first choices is to collect the highlights from the entire document or only that page. Another one is how do I want to collect it, by color or position? And do I want to show the indicators or not? And if I am, which colors do I want to collect? So I press collect. And here is my article. Notice it has the pink background and it is Arial text. This is because when I was in my text settings, I chose the pink background because I figured I might have some eye strain by this time. I can go back into my text settings and say I want a white background. And now the background is white. Typically what I do is when I'm working with an article or a textbook, I go in and I bold the title because I want to be able to see where did this come from. Now, I notice on page 2, I've got a couple of things marked in red and then I've got some things marked in yellow, and they appear in the order that the document would read. So this is giving me that order. I can save that, and we click on save. We have some choices. We can save it, as in save it as in our library. We can download it to PDF or to Word, and we can print it. I'm just going to click save or save as, and it's going to say where do I want to put it and what do I want to call it. Well, I don't have any folders, so I'm just going to call it, I'm going to take this front end of this article off, and I'm going to put on it white paper highlights and save it. And it tells me down here at the bottom that it has saved. When I go back to save again and look at my choices, I can now save it over into my Google Drive or into my OneDrive if I have those connected. And in your library, you can connect those drives right here. So you could save this over into your Google Drive or into your OneDrive. So you don't have to click on the tab, you just hit the little button, but you have to have first connected them. And when you click on it, it'll say, do you want to connect this to your drive? And then you log into your drive and it takes it a few minutes to connect. So you can get it over into those areas. Okay, now let's go back to Donald. And we're now on Donald Duck. Let's say Donald needs to work with his students. So from his name, he goes down to organization and then to manage users. And when he goes to manage users, he sees, yes, I have Goofy and Mickey, and I need a group. So I'm going to go from my name to organization, and I'm going to go to group. Because Mickey and Goofy are both in the same class, and we're going to call this the, for lack of a better name, Disney character class. And I save it. Well, once I save it, I have to add members. So I click on add members. And I decide I want myself as Donald, I want Mickey, and I want Goofy. So I check each one of them and click add selected. Over here beside each name you see member, and again you see that sharing icon. One of these people has to be the coordinator for the group, or the owner of the group. And only an owner or a coordinator can share. So I'm going to make Donald the owner, and I just click on that little share button and it changes over to owner. So now when Donald goes back to the library, and you can go back to your library straight from your name. You don't have to go to text aid and then library. Go straight back to your library. And I'm going to pull in another item here for them to share. And this is just a document that I have. on how to use some stuff. So I'm going to upload an admin portal guide. And I'm going to say it's in English. And I'm going to click upload. And it is now uploaded. So I'm going to click close. And when I look, here's my admin portal guide. And I'm going to share that with the whole group. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on groups. And I now see my groups. Now in the description, you may want to list which students you have in that group so that you know when you're sharing who you're sharing with. So I check the name of the group and I click Share Settings. Save settings, excuse me. Now, as I said, Goofy is right here in Edge. And I'm going to click these off. And we'll go to the library. We now see that Goofy has 2 items shared. He has his admin portal guide and his white paper. Now I have Mickey loaded in Firefox, and we see here's Mickey. When I go to Mickey's library, I see I only have 1 item shared with me. Now, a few things about sharing. When a student highlights in a guide or a book or whatever, it is not shared, those highlights. Those are individual to each student. So you don't have to worry about, well, if Mickey marks it up, what will happen when Goofy looks at it? Nothing. It'll still be the regular document that Goofy's looking at. So that's one thing that's important. And the other thing that is important is when Donald decides to remove a share. Donald decides, I'm not sharing this anymore. Donald can go back to the share icon. And with users, he can say, I want to take Goofy off of that one, or I wanted to take the whole group off of it. And now Goofy, who is in the Edge browser. Now I'm Goofy Dog. I know I keep swapping who I am, so hang in there with me. When I go to the library, notice that Goofy no longer has the white paper. He only has the admin portal shared with him. So the document is shared with the student as long as the coordinator or owner shares it and leaves the document there. They can delete the document, the instructor can, or coordinator can, or they can delete the share. Either way will remove it from the students. Okay, now let's go ahead and we'll go back to being Mickey, and we're going to open this admin portal guide, and I'm going to show you a few things that you can use with this. And this is just a guide that I have that we use with our credential, with our admin portal. And I'm going to go down to this page so we have some document type on it. Okay, when I am looking at this, one of the things that I have over here on the side are some tools. And our tools are a screen mask and a reading ruler. And these really help distracted students, distracted readers, and they help students who have lazy eye movements to where they have trouble going from one line to the next. Back in the day when I was in elementary and junior high school, we used to take a sheet of paper and cut a hole in it and would use that to move up and down the paper. Well, the electronic version of that is called a screen mask, and we can make this larger or smaller as needed and pull it up and down. The other tool we have is a reading ruler, and we can pull this up or down. That's like the note card in the book. One of the things that we can do to help ourselves with working with taking notes is image to text. And with image to text, what we do is we browse and find a file, and I'm going to choose this one right here. And this particular file that I'm choosing is a screenshot of my computer screen that had a PowerPoint on it, so you know what you're going to be looking at. I select the language, and I choose where I want it. So we're just going to let it go in the root folder and save it as editable text. Now, you can only convert 25 pages per month. So you want to make certain you take good pictures, because good input equals good output. Garbage input equals garbage output. So make certain you've got good, clear pictures. And I'm just going to call it demo. Let it convert. And go to my library. And click on it. And there it is. And to show you the original, here is the original. Okay, let's get back over here. Rebecca, do we have any questions?
Sorry about that. Yes, we do. We have one that has come into the Q&A, Ginger, if you wanted to take a look at that as well. But
Okay.
so the highlights that you collected, where did you paste them into, or where do they end up?
Okay. When I am in the highlights, let me escape out of this. When you collect them, they land on new text, and then you save them to wherever you want to save them to. Now, looking at the questions that came up in the Q&A, what will TextAid read Word and EPUB? Yes, it will. What all file formats can be imported into TextAid? You can bring Word, HTML, PDFs, EPUBs, and I can't remember the fifth one, but there's one more. Why would you move from Kurzweil to TextAid? Well, that's a question that our sales folks can answer more thoroughly, but what I would say is price, because TextAid is less expensive than Kurzweil, and it does offer a few extra tools that Kurzweil may not answer. And the next one, does the program work with any types of files? I answered that one up above. Do you have to highlight the text before it will be read back to you? No. If you want it to start reading at the beginning of the page and read continuously through the document, all you have to do is press listen. If you only want a selected part read, you highlight that. Let's see, there appears to be some more questions here. Hang on. The writing assistance tool. Writing assistance is not grammar. It's going to sound out letters, words, or sentences, and it will give you word prediction. And all it's basically doing is helping you helping you write a sentence to where you haven't started the sentence one way and then took a left turn in the sentence. By hearing it read as you're going along, you tend to stay on better track. Can you do speech to text? Yes, we can. If I click on this microphone right here, comes up with start, and I'm going to say here is a test. And it's still initializing. It's probably because I've got so many things open. But what's going to happen here in a moment is it is going to place that. Here is the test on that, and then we would click Insert Text. So it does work well when you're not inside a Zoom meeting. Will the image text work with math? No, it does not work well with math. Is there a page number markup in the EPUB file? Will TextAid display the page numbers? Of that, I cannot tell you. I don't have an EPUB file to play with, but Dawn, if you want to send me one, I will be glad to play with that and answer that question.
We're coming
yes,
up now
TextAid.
on the, we're coming up now on the bottom of the half hour. I do see that there are a variety of questions that are still out there. If you just want to answer a couple more, and then we can certainly get back to folks that we don't address on this webinar.
Is TextAid able to work with screen readers such as JAWS? It does interact with some screen readers. Is the software an add-on from AccessText? And you mentioned you can only convert 25 pages a month. Can you talk more on this? TextAid is a separate program from AccessText, and the conversion is the conversion of images to text. It is not how many pages you read. And with that, you can talk to a sales manager about how many you want. Now, up here, we do have some other TextAid Tuesday webinars that we've done in the past that might give you a better idea of what TextAid is. We took it through several steps. And then lastly, here is my information, and Paul Stisser would be the salesperson, account manager. You would contact. Paul's information is there. And then we also have Dawn Evans on the line, and Dawn can answer questions about AccessText.
Great, thank you, Ginger.
I appreciate everyone joining us today, and thank you. And we will get to the unanswered questions in emails with follow-ups if you listed your name. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.